Hi everybody, I wanted to do a quick video to show you how to solve an equation for a variable. So when you have a formula, getting that variable by itself, because it's a little tricky, but it's really easy once you get the hang of it. So let's get started. So first, I want you to remember what we talked about when we were talking about fractions. A fraction like 3 over 4 is a division problem. It means, well, what do you get when we divide 3 by 4? Well, I don't know, you get 3/4. What's 3/4? Well, it's what you get when you divide 3 by 4. We're really kind of just saving the work for somebody else to do. Solving for a variable is a lot like that, except we do it with equations. So let's get started. Let's look at an equation. So here is a simple equation that you guys have been practicing solving. 3x plus 7 equals 28. Now our goal here is to get the x all by itself, and so we got to think, okay, why is the x not already all by itself? What's getting in our way? Well, this plus 7 is, and so is the 3. We got to deal with the plus 7 first because it's not as close to the x, and we deal with that. Well, how do you undo adding 7? You undo adding 7 by subtracting 7. If you do it on the left side, you have to do it on the right side, and so plus 7 minus 7 is nothing. So we get 3x on the left side, and 28 minus 7 you know how to do, but pretend you didn't. Suppose you didn't know how to find an answer to 28 minus 7. What could you do? Well, you could just write it down. 28 minus 7. Let somebody else figure that out. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, maybe, but I know that whatever the answer should be, that should be on the right hand side, should be 28 take away 7, whatever that answer is. So our focus is on the x. We got to get that guy by itself. What's keeping him from being by itself? This 3. How do we get rid of the 3? How do we undo timesing by 3? Well, we have to divide by 3. If we divide the left side by 3, we got to divide the right side by 3 to keep everything even. 3x divided by 3 is just x, and 28 minus 7 over 3, what's that? Well, it's 28 minus 7 over 3. So what we did was we got an expression for the value of x. Now you could give that to somebody and say, simplify this expression. 28 take away 7 is 21. 21 divided by 3 is 7. So we can get one number for an answer to this. But not doing the work along the way is going to help us out when we take a look at a formula. So let me draw my dividing line, and let's take a look at a formula. This is a made-up formula that I just made. It is AR plus S equals T. Now right now this formula is solved for T because T is all by itself on one side of the equation. You might take a look at this and say, I don't even know that I can do anything with it. There's not even a single number there. Well, there is a little bit that we can do with it. Now let's solve this, and I could solve it for S, or I could solve it for A, or I could solve it for R. But for this example, I'm going to choose to solve it for R. So I want to get the R all by itself. So we're going to take a look at AR plus S equals T. Compare that to the formula or the equation that we just solved. 3x plus 7 equals 28. So I want to get the r by itself. What's keeping him from being by itself? Well, we've got a plus s, we've got an a. We got to get rid of the plus s first because it's not as close to the r. So how do we undo adding s? Well, we subtract s. But if we do it to the left side, you got to do it to the right side. So on the left hand side, ar plus s minus s, those guys cancel out, we just get ar. And what's t take away s? I don't know. It's t take away s, whatever that is. Who knows? If I knew values of t and s, I could give you a number for that, but I don't. I know that whatever is going to be on the right hand side, though, is going to be what I get when I do t take away s. Let's keep our focus on the r. Remember, we want to get that guy by itself. So what's keeping him from being by itself? That a. ar means a times r. How do I undo timesing by a? We have to divide by a. If I do it on one side, got to do it on the other. So AR divided by A, that's just R. And what's T take away S all divided by A? Well, it's T take away S all divided by A. And so this formula is now solved for R because R is all by itself. And the process that we used to solve it, to get the R by itself, was the exact same process that we used to solve our regular equation, except we didn't actually do the work. We just wrote down the problem as we went. That's how simple solving for a variable can be. Let me do a couple more examples just to make sure you get the hang of it. So, here is a formula that you probably know pretty well. It is P equals 2L, I'm going to write my L in cursive so it doesn't look like a 1, plus 2W. This is the formula for finding the perimeter of a rectangle if you know the length and the width. It's already solved for P, and that makes it easy to find the perimeter. If you know a bunch of lengths and widths of rectangles, you just put those in on the right hand side and you get the perimeter. But what if I know one side of a rectangle and the perimeter, and I want to find one of the other sides? Let's solve this one for W. So what we want to do, we want to get the W by itself. What's keeping the W from being by itself? The 2L is, and the 2 that's right in front of it. We're going to deal with the 2L first because that is farthest away from the W. How do you get rid of a 2L? Well, you take away 2L. Got to do it to both sides though. 2L minus 2L is nothing. So we're just going to have 2W on the right side. What's P take away 2L? Well, it's P take away 2L. I don't know what any numbers are there, so I can't really give you more of an answer than that right now. Now I want to get rid of this 2 in front of the W. 2W means 2 times W, so we have to divide by 2. Got to do that on both sides though. 2W divided by W, or divided by 2, is W. What's P minus 2L divided by 2? Well, it's just P minus 2L all over 2. Boom. That formula is solved for W. Now we could get a little fancy and divide each of these by 2. The only reason I might do that is because I see I have a 2L up on top. So if I did that, P divided by 2 is just P divided by 2 minus 2L divided by 2 is just L. This is a different, completely equivalent formula solved for W. Either one of these is just fine. So let's look at one more example. Here's a formula for the circumference of a circle. The circumference is 2 times pi times the radius. So if I know a bunch of radii of circles, I can just put that number in for r and figure out what c is. But suppose the situation's reversed. Suppose I've got a bunch of circumferences and I want to know what the radii are. Well, to make my life easier, we're going to take this formula, we're going to solve it for r. So we want to get this dude by himself. What's keeping him from being by itself? The 2 pi is. Well, 2 pi, what am I doing with the 2 pi? 2 pi times r. How do you undo multiplying r by 2 pi? Well, you divide by 2 pi. Got to do it on both sides. 2 pi r divided by 2 pi is just r. And what's c divided by 2 pi? Well, it's just c divided by 2 pi. You can't really do much with that. So we won't. We'll just write it down. Solving formulas for variables is just like solving equations, except you write the work down. If you can simplify stuff like we did over here with the L and the W, and if you can simplify things, you can go ahead and simplify them. But if you can't, you just write them down. And that's it. Don't make it harder than it needs to be, because it's not too bad. Alright, well, I hope that helps. I will see you guys later on this week. Bye.